Well, Miss Donna, we are here. We will wait and let people get signed in and connected and everything. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Debbie. I am looking forward to this conversation.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And for those people who aren't in Texas, we were 70 degrees yesterday, which was cooler because the day before it was 94, and then woke up to 40 degrees this morning. So I think they call that a blue northern in Texas.
And thus the sweater, because I didn't put the air conditioning on and I'm still cold.
I was trying to decide that because my husband and I were talking about that, and I said, it's funny because we're used to hot temperatures, but in Texas, as you know, it can literally turn in a heartbeat, just like all of a sudden there's nothing there. So anyway, I'm trying to get this up. So we're waiting on everyone. So if people who are joining us would tell us where they're from, let us see where people are from. And I always want to say welcome because time is precious, and I'm humbled that you're joining us. And I appreciate Donna, you being here as well and taking the time. I think it's wonderful that we have the technology where we can get together and do this. So Mr. David is here. Good morning, David. And Judy Hoberman is here. Thank you, Judy, and Mindy. So for those of us in Texas, and some of those are, they know what it's like. It's a little on the chilly side here, but and I'm one of those people that I have it on the computer on StreamYard, but I also have my phone on, so I check both. So if my eyes are going back and forth, you'll know why. Now, and I say this every time I do a live, but instead of taking the time to go over Donna's bio, which has got some incredibly fascinating things in your background, I encourage people to join in the conversation, be part of it, post your comments, your thoughts, your ideas, and then look at Donna's LinkedIn profile afterwards and make sure you connect with Donna and I. And I actually met Donna through Judy Hoberman. That's another part of social that's so wonderful, is that during COVID, Judy had some great ideas and concepts where she brought women together, and we had different things that we did for I think it was several months, and Donna was one of those, and that's how Donna and I met. So thank you, Miss Judy. That's the beauty of the social media, is being able to connect with one another. So give Donna some thumbs up, some hearts, some comments, and let's all be part of this conversation, because I think it's something that a lot of times people are misunderstand about. We all like to do thank you cards and to do cards and gifts and different things, but Donna is what is known as a GIVE-OLOGIST, which I think is so cool, Donna. I love that term. And I think it's great to start off with how you got that term and then how you protected it. I think that's important to share, because not only do you get a name or a term or something you want to identify with, you want to protect it. So tell us about that.
Well, I have always loved giving gifts. Before I even went into this business, even when I was at corporate America, I always liked to find things that were unique and that people would like, because their reaction to it just made me feel good. And so it has just stayed with me. And I've been talking so much, I specialize in branding and marketing, and I've been very focused on giving gifts and giving to people with no strings attached and giving value first. And it just popped into my head, into the conversation. And I said, well, what about a GIVE-OLOGIST? And so I actually registered the trademark GIVE-OLOGY and GIVE-OLOGIST. And I'm hoping to hear something back soon. But, that's how it came to be. And I think it really does, tie it all up about people who like to give and give with no strings attached, that they are experiencing their own giveology and becoming their own giveologist.
I think that's a really good business lesson, if you will, is the fact that when you do find something like you did with GIVE-OLOGIST, that you trademark it, because taking time to do that can protect you in the future when you want to use that. And even if you're not sure you're going to keep it and use it, something as creative and unique as that, I think is a great idea. Everyone's telling us how chilly it is. David said he's got 54 degrees in East Texas. Since we live out in the country, we woke up to 40 degrees. Kimberly's in Plano as well. And it's nice to have people who can connect around the country. Again, that's one of the beauties of LinkedIn Lives, or any digital space for that matter. Now, I know you have a history with Calvin Klein. And I think many of us in our early days, that was kind of the brand that we went to, right? Calvin Klein was the ultimate. How did what he taught you and what you learned from him, How'd that prepare you for business today?
Well, Calvin was the way for a designer to become popular is by getting people to purchase it, getting retailers to purchase the line, and to also become friends with the press, because you needed good press and you needed to sell at retail. And so he was a master at getting people engaged and thanking them and acknowledging them. Not really, I wouldn't say buying their love, but he went out of his way to be nice to them. And you know, I was 23 when I started working there, so all of these things made a big impression on me. And something that he said to me when I had a meeting with him one on one, we were talking about my dreams and aspirations. And I said, well, I want to grow with the company. And he said, well, Donna, you could do anything if you put your mind to it. And that has stuck with me my entire career. And it's something I just keep hearing over and over again. And I think of how he made it, walking with a rolling rack and coats along 7th Avenue going up to Bonwit Teller. And so I really took that to heart. And that has probably, made me a lot of who I am today. And so I have a lot to thank him for.
That's interesting because you think about Calvin Klein or any major designer, whomever, but you think about him, and for you to give us that tidbit of him pushing coats up 7th Avenue back in the day before he was the Calvin Klein goes to show you sometimes we see ourselves and think, oh, we're not big enough or we're not this or whatever. And yet we are. I mean, everyone is. Everyone who's on this live today brings huge value to the table. So I think that's a great story to share. I think that's cool. So what do you think the difference is, speaking of that? You were in corporate. What's the difference from corporate to entrepreneur? I know many people on this live have been in both. And I think I'd probably know what their choice would be, but what would you say the difference is?
Well, I've been back and forth to both up until now. And, I've had conversations with a lot of people on the call about not being hireable at this point in our careers. But the time is the biggest thing that I think is the difference between when you work for someone else and you have your own company. Because my work ethic was the same whether I worked for another company or I had my own company. I acted like it was my company. I just put 100% in. I'll never forget, a doctor, when I was going in for an operation, I'm working the night before the operation, my doctor comes in and says, Donna, if you got hit by a car tomorrow, that company would go on. And he was right. The difference is if you're an entrepreneur and you got canceled, got hit by a car, your company may not go on. And so I think the value and the time commitment that you're not getting paid for all your time when you're an entrepreneur. When you work for corporate, you get paid for everything that you do. So, but you also have your own decisions. You also can make your own decisions. You also can, change things around. And the freedom that comes being an entrepreneur is great.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
It's interesting when you're saying these things. I'm looking at all the people, the live, the different names and everything. And thank you so much for everyone being here. Hello, Miss Ann. So glad you're here from North Lake. It made me think about, I remember one time Judy had an event that's been like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And I was humbled to be one of the speakers of her event. And I remember her standing in front of the audience and talking about time. And she broke it down and said, what if I gave you X amount of dollars? Well, those dollars were really the minutes and time in a year. And it's always stuck with me. Judy, I apologize, can't remember the exact number, but it was a huge number. The point is, time is the most precious thing we have. And again, that's why I'm always so humble that people join in and tune into these, because it means a lot for people to be here and to be supportive. And people like Ann and Maureen and Judy and David and Kimberly, all the different people who are here who are willing to say, thank you for being here. So thank you, Mindy, as well. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you. I can't see who's here.
I
So,
know. I know. That's why I was saying that very one.
thank you everybody for being here.
For sure. So let's talk about gifting. I mean, we all love to give gifts. We all want to do that. But I think sometimes people get nervous about it because they think, oh, well, I'm not a corporate, to your point. I don't have the finances, the budget to buy 500 gifts or 50 gifts or whatever. I may just want to buy this many or whatever. And they kind of panic. So, how do you help your clients? How do you help people set up a gifting plan and stay within their budget, whatever that budget might be? Because I think a lot of times there's a lot of misconceptions about that.
Well, one of the things I want to share with people now is I think a gifting plan should be part of someone's marketing plan. So everybody, whether an entrepreneur needs to have a plan. I know it's a 4-letter word, plan, to an entrepreneur, but it certainly is important. And so if you're going to look to build your business the following year, how much are you going to increase your business? Which clients could help you reach that goal? And it's not all your clients. You might have 5 clients that if you can increase their business for next year, you can hit your numbers. And so that's what I tell people is, what's your budget? What number do you want to hit for your goal next year? Who's going to take you there? And then with those clients, you need to decide how much you can afford to spend. So, whatever your marketing budget is, if 25% of that is gifts, then say you have, I'm just coming up with a hypothetical number of $1,000, okay, or $500. You have 5 clients you're going to start this program with. That means you could spend $100 on each client. But I break it down even further into 3 different times during the year to acknowledge that client. So now you're spending around $30 on every gift. So it's very easy to track. It's very easy to stay on budget. It's just something that if you plan it ahead, it does become really easy to do.
And I do think that's an important point that people overlook sometimes, because we're so digital these days, especially these last 2 years, moving into 3, we're so digital. We forget sometimes just how much it means to get a card in the mail, or to get a gift in the mail, or to have it dropped off, or whatever, to have it delivered. And so I think it's important for people to realize that that builds relationships. Staying online and all the digital stuff that we do with social media, which we all do and we're all fans of, but it's those tangible things sometimes that can make the huge difference. There's no doubt that the last 2 years have evolved for us. There used to be conferences and events. I remember going to those things either as a speaker or as an attendee, and going to see all the vendors and see all the cool things that they had, right? So we had so much that was spent on promotional products in the past, but people want to go beyond that today. How do you, and I think this is another thing that people struggle with, because a lot of times when I would go to those events, and if you pick up something that the whole thing is about that company, didn't always keep it because it wasn't personalized enough for me, or not just me, but for individuals. So how do you provide guidance on what to purchase and then when to give it to their clients? Because you and I have talked about that before, and you had some interesting thoughts on that I thought.
Yeah, I mean, there are several things. First of all, I'm a big proponent of branding. Okay. And there's the time and place to have your logo on something. And a trade show is a great example. You're at a trade show and you're given something to remember the, booth that you went to. But the thing that's, interesting now is, I say, if people aren't doing trade shows, one of the other things they're plagued with is employees and keeping employees. And so if you still want to brand your company and you're not doing trade shows, then put the investment in your employees and have an onboarding kit, or have a thank you gift for you coming back this year, and have things in the box.
Back this week.
Yeah, exactly. Have things in the box that, number one, they'll be proud to wear. They'll be your walking billboards, and you'll still get to brand your company. So whether you're going to a trade show or not, that's another way to get your name out there. And I think it's a useful way of using those dollars, because it also makes your employees feel that they're appreciated. Now, that would be considered not necessarily it would just be a gift from the company. It's not like when you give a gift, not having your logo on it. There is a difference.
And see, and I'm okay with the logo because I understand the branding. If they paid for it, they should have their logo on there, right? I mean, I totally am okay with that. It's when the logo is this huge and there's nothing else on there. So to put a logo somewhere on there, I think people understand and appreciate. But then to have it more personalized, which you and I have talked about before. I would love to know in the comments section how many of you give gifts to your employees, your clients, whomever it is that you might work with. I'd love for us to see that because I think that really can kind of direct us on where we're going to help you as best we can with the insights that Donna has here. So let us know. Do you give gifts? Yes or no? Thumbs up, whatever. Let us know if you give gifts. David says brand investment. Good point. That is true because think in the old days, yellow pages were how people, my gosh, I aged myself, don't I? Anyway, yellow pages was a way. Now it's a whole totally different opportunities that we have. So I would love to hear. Thank you for sharing that, y'all. So we've discussed purchasing products. It's all about us. We just talked about that with the logo, et cetera. What are some ideas that you encourage clients to buy that are unique gifts?
Well, this year more than ever, my industry, the great thing about it is it turns quickly. The only thing that's not turning quickly is production because they too are having issues keeping their companies staffed. But there is so much out there now about sustainability. I'm just going to take that one topic that when 8 years ago, when I went to a show in my big show in January, I came back with a mug that was made out of corn husks and a pen that was made out of corn husks, and that was a sustainable product. And I kept looking for vendors who would make them, and everybody said, "Oh, it's a trend, it's a fad, Donna." Well, I have to tell you now, I was blown away by the fabric of shirts and sweaters and garments and bags, even stuffed animals that were made out of recycled bottles. I mean, it is amazing what technology has done. So sustainability is huge. If you are a big proponent, those are great gifts to give, and you'll give really great gifts.
Right.
Technology, huge, still yet ever always evolving. Giving back. Retail brands are big in my industry also, and many of them give back a percentage of their sales to various charities, and they are all very transparent. They'll let you know who they will donate the money to, as well as health and wellness, keeping mind-body connection, balancing your life. I've never seen it so focused on that before. Something I always loved and always believed in, but because of the times, people are getting more and more into taking better care of themselves. So those are the four big areas that are great areas to look for. Start thinking about gifts for people because it takes care of a lot of different age groups and men and women.
That's a really good point, the sustainability one, because I think that today or maybe it was, I can't remember, sometime in the last couple of days, I posted on LinkedIn, I guess it was yesterday, about younger people. They don't use Google. They don't use search engines. They use social media to search. And for those of us at a certain age, which I'm sure most of us on this live are, that's like totally unusual for us. But the point is, that's how they do it. And to your point, Donna, sustainability is something younger. We all should want that. But younger generations are rabid about that. If a company doesn't support that, then they're probably not going to do business with them. One of our granddaughters quit doing business with one of the largest pet suppliers that's in every mall in the country because of the way that because of puppy farms. So she won't buy from them. And she spends, I'm embarrassed to say what her dad spends, a whole bunch of money on those guinea pigs and their gerbils, the houses and all the stuff they have, but she stopped business. So when you can do a product that's sustainability, to your point, you're demonstrating to someone. We had a realtor who we used for years, love her to death. And she started kind of before it was a trend. She had a gold coin when you got your home. Most of them give you a gift, right? She had a gold coin made from someone like you, and she gave us the coin, but our money that we would have gotten was donated to a shelter. And she does rescue puppies and does a lot of things with pets, and so that's who she donated. So we still got the coin, if you will, to show, but we knew our money went to something that was really important that we would have supported as well. So I think those are great.
You know, one of the things I do also want to mention is when I say, give gifts, right now we're talking about tangible ones, but
Right.
when you give a gift, it doesn't always have to be tangible. So, I always say give value first, give with no strings attached. So if you know a client is very involved in a specific nonprofit that is near and dear to them, then go volunteer at one of their events or buy a ticket to one of their events and help and support that charity, as long as it's something that you're not totally against, but
Right.
I think those are ways that you could show your clients how much you appreciate them. And I know that they would be thrilled that somebody took that step. So there are a lot of other ways to show appreciation.
Absolutely. Judy Hartman just told me that the loop keeps going back to the beginning. So apologies for y'all that are seeing that. I love doing StreamYard, but I've had issues with it the last couple of times. And so I told Ann I was going to talk to her because she just restream. And I never do that publicly, but it's frustrating to know that this keeps happening. So thank you for sharing that, y'all. What are some of the ways you guide your clients to purchase gifts that are non-traditional times? Like we always think of Christmas or Hanukkah or, whatever, or birthdays. What's something that you do for non-traditional?
Well, I always say, when I work with my clients, I share with them a client profile checklist that I put together, which has like 50 things that you could find out about your client. And I don't say to fill out the whole form, but if you could pick 5 different things that are unique to them, like they, a nonprofit, okay, or that they like the outdoors. My whole thing is surprise and delight them when they don't expect it. So it could be Groundhog Day. It could be opening day of baseball season, whatever it is, and do it when not everybody around them is giving gifts, so that you stand out and you definitely will surprise and delight them.
That is a good point because, like sports, there's so many cool things that you can do that even if you don't, it's not you. Everybody's into the sports, if you will, as far as this time of year. I mean, like football hits, we know it's fall in northern hemisphere, right? So that's a cool thing to think about for sure. I know you just got back from a private event where you were invited to go to work with some different people. What are some unusual items on the market today that we might not be aware of or we not think of when it comes to buying a gift or getting something for someone?
Well, I go back to sustainable fabrics. There's some fabulous duffel bags and coolers and backpacks. I mean, coolers are so popular right now, from the personal size to the large size that you can take with your family. Blankets are always really an amazing gift, and I have several new vendors who are doing that as well, and they will do a full colored digital imprint on a blanket, and the inside is that fuzzy soft lamb's wool. It's just amazing. The other thing is tech. And when I say technology, anything that is for convenience sake, we were all into getting the biggest mAh power charger. Like, did it have 10,000? Did it have 20,000? Well, now for traveling purposes, I am finding 3-in-1 charging devices. So you can charge your phone, your watch, and your earbuds in one thing, and avoid having to take wires with you all over the place. And
Yeah.
it also takes up less room. So those kinds of things really stood out. And drinkware, always.
Yeah, drinks are, it's kind of like I was talking to my granddaughter the other day, and I said, remember back when we thought 10, 20, 15 years ago, how many more candles can there be? There's so many more candles because people want them. So drinks, there are so many beverage holders, and because people carry their own water with them now, even the water fountains, how you get your waters changed because of that. And so
So,
I'm go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just going to say how things have changed to the time. So pop socket, okay.
Yeah.
I was showing pop sockets before they even became popular, and I that is my holder of choice. However, they've even developed, and so a lot of people complained you couldn't charge your phone on a wireless charging device with a pop socket. Well, now they have new things where you could slide them off. You can always charge your phone. They even made koozies with pop sockets. I'm not saying that you need to go out and purchase these. I'm just saying
They're great
that
though.
people evolve, as to, you had mentioned drinks and koozies, and now even pop sockets on koozies.
Right, right. It's interesting. Poor Kim is saying the same thing, that she's seen a black screen. She can hear, but she can't see it. So apologies. Like I said, such good content, and I hate that some people are having difficulty with it. I know that, Donna, you have gone on many gift hunts because people will come to you and say, I need to find the most unusual gift or specific kind of gift for this person. Share with us what's the most unusual item you've ever been asked to find, and did you find it?
Um, you know, I was thinking about that question, and to me, it's not as unusual as someone has asked me to find, as much as unusual finding something that I wanted to give someone that was not even anything that I offer. And it was, someone had said they enjoyed Secretariat, the horse,
Oh, yeah.
and I wanted to get something. And so I went on eBay and I went and looked for things on eBay, about Secretariat the horse, and found these riding goggles by the jockey. They were signed goggles by the jockey who wrote Secretariat. And then I got an acrylic case to put it in, and a figure to stand the goggles on. And I mean I get into gifts. I love giving gifts. So the point is, and it meant something to the person I gave it to, and
Absolutely.
those are the things that I love being a resource. So of offering different ways in which people can find unusual types of gifts. So
And I bet you that person still has that somewhere on their bookshelf or somewhere in their office on their desk where they can look at it every time. I have to say, I love the phone chargers. I was looking for them a second ago because they're on my bookshelves. Because I posted this again. Apologies, everyone on this live can appreciate this. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, or whatever, but I shared that over 40% of the people who receive a gift, like we've been talking about, they save it for up to 10 years. That's incredible because you've got your logo, you've got your brand, or you've got the memory that Donna or Judy or Kim or Mindy, whomever, David sent you that gift. And every time you look at it, like every time I use this mug, I know that my granddaughters Riley and Macy got it for me. I love the mug, and it came from NRS. And again, none of that was in it. I just know that, and so those things mean a lot to us. So, what else do you want to? Anything you want to share, Donna, that we might not have covered, or that you learned, or got information on in San Diego last week? Would love to hear.
I just say that now's the time. If you do want to start thinking about gifts, it would be now, because, if you are going to buy things, more than one thing of an item, and I do have factories that do sell one of something when it's special enough, but now's the time to start putting your list together and thinking about the clients that you want to appreciate, and, you know, start getting your gifting ready. I am in the process of mine, and some of the other things, when people may not have a budget right now, they like the idea, maybe they want to wait until 2023, but to offset that, I have vendors that I saw the most beautiful ornaments that were made out of metal. And you can also, you can, if you wanted to, have a great little saying that they make one of these little enamel domes that they put on it, and you could slip it into a business, into a greeting card.
Yeah.
And you're still giving a gift because it's something they can use, something they can put on their tree. I mean, you just need to know that they celebrate Christmas and they have trees, but it's things like that that you can slip in. Even all the little seeded paper that that have made all throughout, over the years. They started out with like a little blotter, but they make in every shape. And you could slip the little seeded paper into a card and say, looking forward to growing our sales for 2023, and little things like that, that just are one step ahead of just the card, but enough to make someone really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And just remind us, and I was going to ask you to do it, Donna, when this is over, if you'd go into the comments and drop your link so people know how to connect with you. So it's best when the comments afterwards, especially with the challenges that we've been having. But another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you're on these LinkedIn Lives, you can go back and on there, it'll show details and it'll show networking. If you click on networking, it's going to show you everyone who's registered, which I think was almost 50 people registered for this live. You can go in and click those people's names and ask to connect with them. I do it on the computer so I can do a note and say, hey, I just saw you on the live with Ann Small. I'd love to connect with you. But I encourage everyone to connect, obviously, with Donna and myself, but everyone else that's on here, because that's the beauty of social media. You meet new people. And so if you haven't been on one of these before, please do that. And do we have any questions or anything anyone wants to ask before we end here with Miss Donna? Gave us some great ideas. I will say, when you were talking about planning for 2023, and again, because I know so many of these people personally on the live, I know that they do this. We all have our quarterly calendars and we all put down what we're going to do for each quarter. I think including what you're talking about with the gifts, it may not be the first quarter. Maybe it's going to be the second quarter. But when we put it in writing, that means we're going to go through and do something with it. So I think that's an important thing for us to all think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you want me to, I typed it in. Do you want me to hit send?
Yeah, go ahead, do it now, and then I'll just go back and make sure that it goes.
Oh, that didn't look good. It's donnaco.com. I left out the C. Okay.
That's okay. We're all doing this together. To say we've had tech issues today.
Oh my goodness.
We live in the country, and so our internet's strong because of who we have our service with, thank goodness. But it's one of those things Stacey used to always tease me because I always say we want to be charged and connected. That's what we want. We want to be charged and connected and make sure we can get our lives and our Zooms and our videos and all the things we're doing. And it's very frustrating, girls and boys, when that doesn't happen. So
yes,
this girl's going to work on that.
Yeah. Well, I told you I had to reboot my computer right before I got on.
Just before we came on, Donna everything went dead on her. And so Judy was sweet enough to hear, says she's hearing the best conversation multiple times and loving it. So apologize for the reboot. What do they call that? They call it,
a loop.
A loop. Thank you. My mind went blank. But I appreciate everyone being here today. I know time's precious and we appreciate it. And I appreciate your patience with everything. And Donna, you were such a sweetheart to get on and give us some great ideas. So here's to the GIVE-OLOGIST. Thank you, Miss Donna.
Debbie, thank you so much for having me here and letting me share with you.
Oh my gosh, it was fascinating. I know everyone else enjoyed it as well. So everyone have a blessed day.
Yes, thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye for now.